Hey, welcome back to Movie Review Mom. And if this is the very first time you visited my channel, yay! I'm so glad you found me. I hope you like what you see and I hope you stay. And I hope you subscribe. That actually helps me to grow my channel a lot. So I really appreciate your support. And while you're at it, give it a thumbs up and ring that little bell and it'll notify you every time I upload a new movie review or trailer reaction. All right, enough of that. So the movie I'm reviewing today is called The Macaluso Sisters. This dramatic, moving, and very haunting film opens exclusively at New York's Film Forum on August 6th. 2021, and in Los Angeles on August 13th, 2021, and in select theaters nationwide, at least here in the United States, throughout August during 2021. The movie is rated R and it's 89 minutes long. So let me give you an overview in a nutshell, and I'll point out things I liked and didn't like, as well as offer tips for parents, themes worth talking about, and even some recommendations for other films that are sort of similar. Okay, let's get started. In a nutshell, the Macaluso sisters are 5 orphaned siblings who live in and work from a shabby rooftop apartment in Palermo, Sicily. I love Sicily and have been there a few times, but have never been to Palermo. So it's on my bucket list. Anyway, they make a living by renting out doves, which they paint festive colors for weddings and funerals. Kind of an interesting way to make a living. A summer beach outing is planned on a rare day off from work, and they have a great time. Near the close of the day, full of enchantment, revelry, and close encounters with secret lovers, a shocking catastrophe transpires. And that single event forever alters the family dynamic, challenging the delicate balance of sisterhood in this generation-spanning feature film. The film is directed by Emma Dante. So the things that I liked were plenty. First of all, the film premiered in competition at the 2020 Venice International Film Festival in Italy, where it won the Passanetti Award, given by the National Union of Italian Journalists for Best Film and Best Actress, awarded to actually the entire ensemble cast playing the sisters. There are 12 women who play the sisters at different ages, which is kind of clever and interesting, and has since won the association's annual prizes for Best Film and Best Director. So kudos to the film at the film festival. The introduction of the movie is intriguing because you hear sounds, but you can't quite figure out exactly what's happening, and you really don't learn fully what that's all about until the very end of the movie, which I always like that when there are these missing pieces that get tied up in the end. There's dialogue, but actually most of the evocative scenes are when no one is talking. And there are a lot of scenes when no one is talking. As I mentioned, there are 12 actresses who play the 5 sisters over a span of many years. So look for the little details of things that they do and say to help you determine which sister is which as they age. There's no explanation, a title card or anything like that that tells you how much time has passed or which sister we're looking at. So you really have to pay attention to those clues. I thought that the theme song was very sweet and melancholy. In fact, all of the sounds are very mesmerizing. And as I mentioned, there are many scenes where no one's talking. And so you're hearing the ocean, the wind, birds, and pay attention to all of that because it really sets a mood and sends a message. I thought it was really interesting to watch the various scenes that take place in the family's bathtub throughout the years. The film is full of symbolism, making the movie really very rich. To better understand and appreciate the movie, I'm including these notes that are very helpful from the director. First of all, the main character of the film is the whole of the 5 sisters that from the very beginning to the end of the film and life acts as an organism apart with its own rules, bonds, and voice. Okay, so that alone really helps to understand this movie, if nothing else. Each sister is like a vital organ, indispensable to this entity that combines each peculiarity and harmonizes them by melting them into a compact, vibrating nucleus. The emotional fibers that bond these 5 women into a single character are so strong, even though they fall apart, that they never completely go away. And in fact, not even death can erase the presence of one of the bodies belonging to this nucleus. And it doesn't even reduce the vital strength of this whole. All right, we're getting pretty heady here. So here's the first symbol of Maria. Well, that's the second symbol, really. Maria, it represents the brain of this organism, this body. She's the very first daughter born. When the story begins, she's 18 years old and she takes care of her sisters. So for this reason, she can be described as the brain of the organism. She represents the rational part of the group and is the one who makes decisions. So she's the voice that everybody listens to, for the most part, a voice that calms down, for it gives protection, it inspires, it knows. So the next sister is Penucha. She represents the skin of this whole body. She's the second born, and she carries the weight of authority without really being authorized. And she regulates conflict through conflict, love through love. Like it or not, she's the one who takes care of the most complicated sister, whose name is Leah, and I'll get to her in just a second. She's the skin of the family, a thin organ, yet very strong. It's the first defense and shows the distress of the organism more than the other ones. Penucha often communicates her pain without stepping back. She represents marital and non-marital relations, if you know what I mean, the hanky-panky part of the movie, and the sensual part of the Macaluso sisters. She's very dramatic and very sensual and romantic and well, anyway, there you go. So Leah represents the heart of the body. She's guided by instinct and passion. On an age and geographical level, she's placed at the center of the organism because she's in the middle, age-wise. Often it's her input that move it, just like the heart in the human body. The rhythm of her heartbeat articulates the mood of the whole, declares its tiredness or its vitality, its calmness or its euphoria, its passivity or its aggressiveness. She's the sister who bonds the group in a stronger way, but at the same time, she distinguishes herself just like the human heart, which is an involuntary muscle. Now, Katya plays the stomach. So when we first meet her, when she's 12 years old and she's chubby with a sandwich in her hand, and we see her again in her 70s with her own family that's supporting her. It's as if she were the stomach of this nucleus, because it looks like she's been able to digest all of life's obstacles and assimilate its nutrients. She ends the cycle that opens the film, a virtuous cycle that leads her to carry on with her life beyond the exclusive nucleus of her sisters. And then finally, Antonella. She represents the lungs. She's the baby of the family. Her presence is the breath that gives air to the whole story and never fades away. It represents hope, resistance, the lungs' habit of acting spontaneously. It's deja vu, an order broken by a loud cough, a gust of wind that immediately gathers itself up, yet into a different shape, hardly perceptible. And then the house itself represents the organless character. It's the last character that goes through the story, through the years and the generations, all of the changes and the evolutions. It's physically inanimate, yet very intense, and is a character itself, and you see it. It's the house in which the 5 sisters have always lived. It experiences their ages and their changes, their joy and their pain. It grows and breathes with them, scratches with them, gets dressed and undressed with them, and evolves with its residents. But most of all, it observes them. The house perspective is the stare on the sisters, able to perceive any change or metamorphosis, but severely demure and sincere in its persisting silence in the way it denies a judgment. All right, That's a very helpful explanation, especially knowing it ahead of time, because now you can look for those things. So now here's a list of things that I didn't like or thought could have been done better. First of all, some people simply don't like foreign films because reading the subtitles takes effort. I get it. I used to be one of those people. This is one of those artsy fartsy films with a lot of dialogue. Well, in this case, not that much dialogue, but, a talking movie without a lot of action, a very good character study, and not necessarily a coming of age story for one character, but for the entire cast of women and sisters. Some viewers might be confused by the timeline and the change of actresses, as I mentioned earlier. Some of the scenes actually last way too long to make their point. I'm like, okay, I get it. And I wonder if it was the director's intent to make us feel uncomfortable, in which case, mission accomplished, I think, in some cases. Ultimately, the movie is very sad and depressing and not everyone's cup of tea. But as I mentioned, it's very haunting, and I keep thinking about it after watching it, and makes me reflect on my own life and how I'm living it and the choices that I'm making and the relationships that I have with my own sisters. So let me give you some tips for parents. First of all, kids are going to be extremely bored, and so will some adults. The entire film has subtitles because Italian is spoken. There is some profanity and crude language in Italian, which we wouldn't necessarily know, except it's all translated in English in the subtitles below. There is full-on female frontal nudity in a bathtub. You also see two topless women putting on and taking off shirts, and then a topless young girl. I don't know why that's necessary. I don't have to see all of that, but it is very raw, and the movie is very raw. Some lesbians kiss in some scenes. You hear unmarried teenagers doing it in a room, and adults, actually, now that I think of that scene as well. Luckily, you don't see anything, but you can tell what's happening. And you see someone cut up a dead animal with lots of blood as part of her science job. And we're not told exactly what that job is, but they're in a lab and they're chopping up animals, she and this other lady. So some themes that are introduced in the movie are changes over time, like the waves of the ocean, things and people come and go. And so I think it's really appropriate that the movie takes place with views of the ocean and a day at the beach at the ocean and that kind of thing. Other themes are memory, things that endure and don't endure, age, life and death, family, specifically sisterhood, and the influence that we have on each other. All right, so ultimately, I really enjoyed this movie, but again, I recognize it's not for everyone's taste. The movie review mom grade I'm giving it is a B+. So I expect more great things from this director. All right, so before we go, let me give you a couple of recommendations of other movies that I instantly thought of as I was watching this. The first one is called The Secrets We Keep. I think I recently watched it either on Amazon or maybe it was Netflix. And I thought it was really well done. You don't fully understand and appreciate what's happening until the end as the story unfolds, which is the case for this movie as well. And it involves the love of sisters and what you're willing to do for your sisters to protect them and keep them. Another movie, not about sisters per se, but about relationships and love and loss, is a movie called Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close. And I think you'll find that to be touching. And then another movie about love and loss is P.S. I Love You. All right, that's it for my review. I hope if you watch this movie that you appreciate it and understand it and enjoy it. And if not, if you thought it was totally stupid, well, sorry. All right. Thank you again for all of your support, and I will catch you in the next movie review. Bye for now.